Okay, please welcome prosthetics artist for the whale, Adrien Morot. Oh, I don't know if
Hi.
any of you remember the first time that still of Brendan was released and everyone was like, that is Brendan, oh my gosh. Your work, it's all due to your work. I mean, what was your process for creating this Adrien and transforming Brendan?
Well, it's a long process, obviously. The first thing was Darren gave me a call and and told me that we were right at the beginning of the pandemic. So he said, I'm sorry, and Darren always works with the same group of collaborators. Sorry, there we go. And since all the movie shoots have been shut down, he told me like, well, we have a golden opportunity. Our group is all free right now. Let's do a movie. I want to shoot this movie. It's small. It's a small thing based on a theater play. And I would like to shoot that in 5 weeks. And he sent me the script. And I quickly realized that not only he was talking about the main character being in full face and body prosthetics, that he was the main character of the movie, and that he was basically there in every scene in a small set where he's in a single apartment. So I realized the task on hand, and I begged him not to give us 5 weeks.
And as this was done during the pandemic, you actually didn't have access to Brendan Fraser directly when you were putting together your live cast. So talk about how you managed to get the cast, the body
Yeah,
cast.
that was really, that was another thing that was very frightening, because normally the way you do those kind of makeups is that you have the actor coming to the shop and you do either a full body live cast or like a head cast as well, and you work from copies of their body with clay on top of it, and you sculpt the appliances like that, and then you do molds. Since everybody was very worried at the beginning of the pandemic and we didn't have access to Brendan, I was like, how are we going to do this? They didn't want to send Brendan to our shop to do live cast, and in the past 5-6 years we've been experimenting with 3D printing technologies. So, and we did a bunch of tests, in-house tests, that were really successful at doing prosthetics that would be not only very realistic, but that would also blend into the skin in ways that is almost unobtainable with traditional manners of doing prosthetics. But we still had a few things to tweak, and I was very afraid of using it on a real movie until we fixed those things. The whale came around, and since I've worked 5 times with Darren before, I was like, well, if we if we screw up, he might forgive me and maybe hire me again in the future. And so that's how we did it. We did it completely as a digital process, which was, I think, one of the first time being done like that.
Wow. See, technology advances and it's incredible. Okay, talk about applying that makeup to Brendan for the first time, and like how long it took and all the different pieces that went in, because it's, as you said, it's not just his face, it's his body, his legs, and full body.
Yeah, and the first time you do it, like you know, like you work in your shop for, in this case, we had 12 weeks to build it, so about 3 months, and you work in your shop, and you basically what you're doing is you're doing prototyping. You don't know if it's going to work, and you go on set and you cross your fingers that, and by the end of the shoot you're like, either it worked, or most of the time you're like, well, I wish I would have done it differently. And until the moment you glue it onto the actor's face and on his body, and the actor starts acting with it, it's just inert pieces of rubber. It's like as much as you're creating all sorts of details, you do like the pores and capillaries, and you punch in every hair like of the beard and on his body. It's just pieces of rubber. So when you glue it on the actor's face, and you have an actor that's as brilliant as Brendan is, and then you see it, you put him in front of the camera, and it just comes to life. It's not only a sigh of relief, you're like, Jesus, whew, but you're also like amazed that what you've created is just like alive all of a sudden. It becomes a character that was written on the page.
What was it like seeing Brendan for the first time in full body makeup?
What was it?
What was it like seeing him for the first time?
Well, like I said, there was a bit of a sigh of relief. You see, like I always see things in a very bit of perfectionist, and that's probably why I get along with Darren. It's tough for me to look at stuff objectively. It's like, oh wow, that was really good. I always look at things like, doesn't work. This doesn't, like, how can I improve upon what I'm seeing? So even the first time, I don't stop at what works. I just look at everything that needs to be fixed until we get him into the camera, in front of the cameras the first time.
How many hours did it take?
First time we did the makeup, it took 7 hours. You know, even if you glue on the pieces, even if pieces were designed, let's say, to go right underneath his eye bags, or like on the side of his temple, it's just the weight of the pieces make it that it's gonna drag down a little bit. So you need to adjust like that, and then you need to adjust the color temperature of the skin tone so that it's in harmony with the color palette that the DOP is choosing on a set. So it took 7 hours for doing all those adjustments, but as we did it day after day after day, we got it down to 2 hours 45. So, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, stay put. We'll have you back for the panel conversation. And now we are going to have a clip from Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.